Hello and welcome. Here I'm gonna argue that 35 millimeter is the best focal length possible for photography and even for videography, cinematography, street photography. Why is this? Because listen, because this is 15 millimeter, this is 24 millimeter, this is 35 millimeter, and this is 45 millimeter. So the sweet spot is between 24 millimeter and 35 millimeter. This is the sweet spot for photography. Why is that? Because it enables you to isolate the subject without being too focused into the subject. You'll see that street photography is basically 35 millimeter. It is enough to capture the landscape without being committed to focus on one subject or isolated from the background. So here's my argument, and feel free to take it or leave it, but that's for if you was hesitating to start your project in photography or thinking about the best lens possible. Yes, just buy one lens and experiment with it. 35 millimeter 1.5 aperture and 1.4 aperture, and by this way you can isolate the subject, have enough details for portrait, have less distortion of the face if you're photographing people, and be capture enough ambience for for example, if you want to capture the essence of the place, the background, the lighting, and all these stuff at the same time. And here you have it, enough separation from the background. There is a background, you can appreciate the natural lighting, and also the plus of having a blurry background in the foreground, and etc. So 35 millimeter is the best, even if it is equivalent to 35 millimeter in a smaller camera, which I'm photographing which I'm shooting with, but it's written on the camera. The presence of image stabilization is not that important because I'm using a tripod, and the small aperture is not that important because I'm trying to get the enough combination of getting a background and not getting a background in the same time. So here you have it, and I hope you enjoy the weekend and the days after, because I'm doing a new project, which is writing a book. Yes, you hear it correctly. I'm writing a book on artificial intelligence and neuroradiology. So I'll be focusing about this subject in the nearby time. And if you have any suggestion or comments, please let me know in the comments below. And here we are shooting with the 4K 35 millimeter. Slightly distant from the microphone. You may hear a small amount of echo in the sound, but that's okay. So why didn't I shoot so often in 4K while it's greater resolution? Um, it consumes the bandwidth. It causes the autofocus to hint to slightly go back and forth. So on this camera, which is EOS 50 Mark II, 50M Mark II, it's not that good while doing the 4K. Maybe in a better camera it will be better, but that's for future reference and future assessment. So here we are, 35 millimeter 4K, and it consumes the bandwidth. So if you if you can't see me on 4K, you can see me on 1080p. And if you are thinking about heating, it doesn't cause heating per se for the 4K 25 frame per second, but it causes the camera to really struggle with the memory and the computer to analyze these images. It will take time, more time for this to happen. I'm currently thinking about the AI and my book, so excuse me.